Okay, I've been trying to do this before, but this time I will try it again and make an actual tutorial that will help new players to come along better with Pandora and how it works. For this purpose we of course have to start a new game, and I think the settings are okay for what I want to do. Difficulty on random. I find this is fun, so you never know how hard it is gonna be. This is for each individual faction, so it is most likely still really hard. I suggest new players to really pick very easy. This is not to make you look bad or something. In this game, the AI plays really well, and even very easy can be difficult to win if you do not know what you are doing. But since after this video you will know what you are doing, you might probably want to start at a higher level, but make sure to tell me how it went. So I'm going to play random for this purpose. I will play with very high alien aggression because this is a thing you have to learn to deal with. And yeah, I kind of think should be default. Very high on lower, it is not that challenging, but we want to be challenged, don't we? So faction, I don't really care, so I will start the game now.
It is the year 20. You are Vivian Godinier, leader of the East.
Okay, I will click this array, and now I will talk a bit about what we can see here. Okay, this is the starting screen, and this might not be the best faction to show how the game usually works. So it plays a little different because it has a bonus on forest tiles. You can get 2 minerals out of forests, and this makes for a largely different setup when it comes to what tile improvements you build, because you will mostly just build forests unless you need food or suburbs, for instance, but you will never build mines on hills, for example. You will still build mines on mountains. So now let's analyze the starting location. First thing you always should do is move your colonial trooper to see a little bit more about the starting location. If you hold the right key, you can see what tiles only consume 1 movement point. For example, this hill and this plains do only consume 1 movement point and allow for another. So since we want to see as much as possible, we will want to go through these tiles and then go to another, and I'm going to this direction instead of that because I can see that here are some mountains. So on the mountain I can look further, and I also think it is more important to be closer to the mountains because they give 3 minerals instead of 2, and so you need less miners to get the minerals from the mountains. I will show you how this works once I have founded the city, but I'm not 100% sure where to found it yet. So I could move or I could not. So I decide to move here to this location. Why? Because of the mountains. I can see that here is more mountains, and the city radius is 3 tiles in each direction. If I would found right here, I would have 3 mountain tiles. But if I go here, I would have at least 3 more. I cannot see what's over there, so I would assume it's at least 3 more, and this is really helpful in the long run. So the question is, where do I actually go? Do I want to go to the coast? Because I cannot found the city in this turn anyways. So I have 3 options. Actually it's more than 3. I would say this tile should be the best, but I'm not sure. This tile might be even better. So it's a little risk taking. I think this tile might be better, but it is not coastal. I think I will go for the coastal tile because I don't know what map type it is yet, and I will want to let myself be surprised. But for the purpose of this, I will check it out. You can check out the map type by hovering over the date. Then you can see your faction's abilities, and then you can also see the world size, medium, alien aggression, players, and turn. And the interesting thing is world shape. It is archipelago in this case. So founding at the coast is almost vital, because on an archipelago map you do not want to have non-coastal cities, because that is a real disadvantage in the long run, as you cannot build ships there. But on the other hand, it also makes it easier to defend, because enemy ships cannot attack your inland cities and they would have to land troops through the water, which is a dangerous endeavor, because they go down to 1 hit point when they are in a transport ship and can easily be destroyed. But what do you want to destroy them with if you don't have ships? So the only thing you can destroy them with is bombardment. But you cannot spot them unless you scan. So it's still mostly the best decision is to found on a coast, on an archipelago map. So this was the right thing to do. So I'll end the turn. Now it's move time for the aliens, and I will found a city right now. I could have checked again to see if there's any better location, but moving on the other side of the mountains would be really impractical, and I want to stay close to this Garden of Eden I haven't talked about. It's a bonus resource. Bonus resources have really high output. Here's another one. They are not that sparse. Usually you will have about 2 to 3 in a city's whole radius. So I don't know if there's more on this side. I know there's not more on this, and this is not in the radius. So it might be only one. And I misjudged. This is not the mountain, but I'm still getting 2 mountain tiles more. So okay, next thing we have to do, this button will always tell us what to do actually, so we just click it. We have to choose research. Okay, hovering over technologies is not useful at all for a new player. What you want to hover is over the icon next to the technology, because there you will actually learn what it actually gives you. For example, here reinforced steel plate provides steel armor. Yeah, interesting. But what does steel armor do? It gives you 25% power for 25% production cost. So what we want to start with normally is colony ship dismantling, because it gives a huge boost for starting resources, which can help to develop the city early on. But unfortunately we have to go through another technology in order to get it. This would be field training. Field training becomes useful only a lot later in the game, because it is rather inefficient. It costs 32 production and gives 2 level ups to all units in a tile. So you need a certain amount of units in a tile before it makes sense. So it's not very useful that early. So the question is, do we get this in order to unlock these technologies? It also helps us getting synthetic fertilizer, which we don't need because we don't need it that early. We will eventually need it, of course, but since we have the Garden of Eden, we have an easy access to a lot of food. So we could start with mineral refining, but once again, this is not that important since our starting location has 4 mineral tiles. Of course, in the long run, it is really important. So we could also start with stuff to improve our units, but I decide to go for field training anyways to get the colony ship dismantling, because nothing of the other stuff is as important. That I really need them right now, so I will get this even though I will not use it until much later in the game, and then I can get colony ship dismantling, which is the technology I want to have. So we click this button again, it says choose production, and it brings us right to the city screen. Okay, there we have a lot of stats to talk about. We have habitat, growth, food, minerals, production, and so on. And we can do a lot about it. Unlike in civilization, for example, you can set around your units on the your population points on the map, and it automatically does this for you in a relatively efficient manner. So let's talk about habitat first. Habitat is the living space. The Terra Salvum faction which I rolled has a bonus on habitat. We have 2 habitat more than other factions. So what does it do? Basically, when we have enough, it does nothing. But when we run out of it, it does something negative for us. It affects morale. If the population is greater than the habitat, 1 point of morale will be subtracted each time the population grows. So if we would have 11 population, we would lose 1 morale, and if we had 15 population, we would be in the negatives with morale. We usually don't want to go in the negatives unless we cannot prevent it. So we will try to prevent going into the negatives of morale whenever we can. Being positive is good for several reasons. First off, each point of morale gives you 4% on everything. However, 4% on everything is not that much if nothing is high enough. We still get it because the numbers are not integers, they are floats, so this means you get even fractions of a number, so we are still benefiting from this right now. But we also have this resource here called credits. You might know what it could be used for. It is money basically, and it has a multitude of uses. One of the most important uses of money is that you cannot buy otherwise or cannot get otherwise is upgrading units. So you don't have to throw away your old units. They are not useless because you can upgrade them. And for this you need money. You also can spend money on rushing production in cities that are not productive. The capital will most likely be productive enough, at least this one because it has a lot of minerals around. But we might want to found a city in a mineral starved location because it provides something like an observatory, which is a research bonus giving field, and in a city like that you do not want to produce that much. So now how do we affect these? Since I want more money, I will increase the taxes. I will increase the taxes by 30% till the morale is 0. I do not want to go in negative morale because in negative morale you not only lose 4% on everything, you also lose 4% on growth. You do not get a growth bonus for positive morale. That is to make it a little more diverse and not just try to maximize morale every time and not create any credits at all. I mean, you still would want to create some credits to upgrade your units, but there's another incentive now. It doesn't bring us much that early because 4% or increased taxes on very little is not much actually. So the next thing is we have these here. We have our scientists, our population roster here, and a lot of the population, and you can basically put it wherever you want. But there's a limitation on farmers and miners, and this limitation comes from the tiles around the city. So since we only have 5 tiles, we can only farm 5 of them. Now we have more tiles, but we cannot farm on this mountain, and we can do nothing on this because this alien is blocking it. The alien is not aggressive yet, so it will not destroy the city, and we don't have to kill it yet because I also don't want to kill it yet. Even if I could, yes I could, but I want to use this unit for scouting, and I don't want to scout with a damaged unit. This is really dangerous. So back to the city. So At the beginning, research might seem like a good idea because we don't have a whole lot to produce. However, we can check our growth. It's 1 per turn from natural growth. So it will take the city 6 turns to grow. But we have this project here. It converts 2 production into 1 growth. And at the beginning of the game, this is really powerful. Let's see. We queue it, we produce with 2 production pattern, which comes from the headquarters. It provides 2 of everything. You only have this in your capital. You can build it in other cities, but then it is removed in your capital. So since we are producing this now, we get the city to grow in 3 turns. But we want to grow it even faster, so we assign this population point to be a worker. And now the growth will happen in 2 turns, which I think is worthy. So we also have the minerals, and we have this display here of the minerals. So I'm losing 2 minerals per turn if I do it like this. But I'm fine with it because I start with 10, and I'm saying I will spend the 10 starting minerals to get 2 new population points as quickly as possible, because if everything runs right, the city will reach size 3 just when the minerals are empty, and then I will start producing other stuff. Because at size 3 the natural growth will be 3, and producing growth is not as efficient anymore, relatively speaking, especially if we don't have the minerals to provide more production. Okay, so in order to control what happens if the population grows, I don't want to go to the city every time the population grows, but I want to make sure that the population is assigned as I want it to be assigned. So what I want is to get a scientist once the city grows, because when it reaches level 3 or size 3, I want to have something to produce. I will not be able to. It will be a little delayed because the colony ship dismantling is in the 2nd row. But I want to get some technologies out as quickly as possible, so there's something to construct other than the basic colonial trooper, which we might end up producing then when we are ready. So what are other worthwhile starts? I would say nothing. Getting to the 3 population as quickly as possible is almost always the best start you can have. You might, if you are playing a very small map with a lot of factions, you might want to produce something else, for example units, but in this case we are not. So okay, this unit has moved, and this was a long turn. I normally would have been in like turn 20 right now if I played at the normal pace, which you can see in almost all of my other videos, but this time I'm trying to make a tutorial and it seems to work out this far. So I enter turn, and this is interesting. We already have contact with Admiral James Hyde. So he must have started right next to us, otherwise he could not have possibly reached us. So since this guy has units that are stronger than ours, he's the military faction, his units are at 2.0 strength, ours is only at 2 strength, and on top of that he has an attack bonus. No, we have an attack malus, so our units are even weaker. They are okay at defending. So we want to offer a non-aggression pact, and it is accepted, which is a good thing for us. Now he is polite, he was reserved before, and we can try to get him to trade, which he demands a payment for. I know the payment you have to pay for deals scales with your population. We are lucky that we are in the first turn, so it will cost us 10 credits. He asks for 10 credits and I'm going to give him this payment. It would have been 20 if the city had grown. So with this pact will most likely easily pay off, depending on what difficulty this guy actually is. We cannot see this until we win or lose the game, but we can guess. But guessing at this early stage is almost useless. I will show you what to base your guess on very soon, but I will offer a research pact as well, and unfortunately it is rejected for most likely the reason that we are only producing 2 research, or we are not advanced. Yeah, I know. They have a starting technology and we don't, so he thinks he is technologically far ahead and doesn't want to trade technology with us. How can he know? I will show you here. Um, we actually do not see his research yet, which is interesting. Maybe because we don't have any research on our own. We do not get the comparison of the research. So what we can see is that he has solid military forces. We can also see the solid military forces right here. He cannot possibly have any other units unless he would have stepped on a ruin, but it's unlikely. We are still in turn 3. So this is the earliest contact I've ever made in this game, I think. At least on a normal map. I'm really confused how he is so close to us. So I mean, we moved the location a little closer to him most likely. If we had stayed there, we would have been a little further away, but still that's really close. So his economy is flourishing, which means he has about the same. Solid also means he has about the same. But we have a non-aggression pact and a trading pact, and this is how many turns these pacts have been going on. And do note that a trading pact and a non-aggression pact have to have run for 11 turns, I think. I mean, here there must be an 11, and then you can cancel them. The non-aggression pact will make us safe for 10 turns. It will still be listed here as a non-aggression pact, but it can be broken for a negative consequence. But I don't think we will want to break it anytime soon. We first have to find out how strong Hyde actually is. He could be any difficulty level, really. We cannot know this early in the game. So where do we want to scout? I think we see enough of these mountains, and I would say going here would be the most beneficial in order to see how many tiles there are. I do not have to protect the city from Hyde because he cannot attack, and the aliens will not attack this early. Especially since we are Terra Salvum, and here you can see minus 50% alien aggression, which means we will be attacked later than everyone else, which actually is quite a big advantage if you do a timing attack in conjunction with the aliens. Which is probably a strategy we should go for against Hyde. But I first want to scout out his city and see how good it is. This also plays a big role. Okay, there's nothing more to do this turn. I can end it. And this is interesting. Hyde decided to kill this alien. And now he denounces me. I'm going to... being denounced means you lose points, faction points with him. But I will reject simply because I do not want to lose. The interesting thing is that his unit now is damaged, and I'm pretty sure he only has this one. So, but since I have signed a non-aggression pact anyways, it doesn't matter. I will want to find his city, and it must most certainly be somewhere here. It cannot be somewhere else because otherwise his unit could not have reached it. So we get the display that our city has grown. It is now size 2. But we don't have to do anything because we made sure that the next population will be a scientist, so it's exactly as we wanted. If we hadn't locked out all the others, we would most likely have ended up with a farmer, which would have increased our food count, but we don't need the food. We still have 12 food from the beginning, and we can get much more once we have the colony ship dismantling, so we can survive a lot of turns without actually having to produce food. And if we have this Garden of Eden, which makes it really easy for us to produce food. So this is not civilization, so I can easily step on the same tile as he is, as long as I'm not at war with him. In this case, our units would fight, but you can see both units are stacked, and I can now see the borders of his empire. So it is barely out of reach, but I will want to scout around it, and then I want to scout some more. I don't think here's a whole lot of other stuff. I have to go to the north in order to find suitable city locations for the next city that I construct. But the question is, do I even do this? Okay, now we can see a little bit of Heights City. It is size 3. We would have a chance at rushing him, but not even if we didn't have the non-aggression pact. I think we would fail. His unit with 1-4 would get a defense bonus in the city, 25% from the headquarters, as you can see here. No, it's even 50%. So 50% on 1.4 makes it 2.1, and then we have a 25% malus, which means our unit would only attack at 1.75, and it would most likely lose, especially if we attack from the plane to get there quicker. And if you go this way around, you would have to wait another turn, and in this case you might as well have another unit. Okay, so is there more to do? No, I will end this turn. The button here always tells us if something's to do. We got field training technology, which we will not use anytime soon. It looks like there's water on the other side. A good thing is that his city does not have a whole lot of minerals, which makes him an easy target for us in any imaginable way. He cannot use the forest for two minerals. He has to resort on mines. He can build a mine here, and it doesn't look like these are mountains, so he will be mineral starved, which means we actually should be able to overwhelm him once we get the technology to do so. It doesn't even matter that much what difficulty he is, because he cannot magically generate minerals from nothing. The only thing that he can do at higher difficulties is he's having a higher morale, so he can use a higher tax rate, which in turn gives him higher production. Now, not production, but he can buy out units and improve them more with credits. So the city has grown as big as I wanted it to grow, and I think I will be getting a farmer, or I will start working on one while also using a mine. I still want to research technology, but if I don't build anything, I'm falling behind on this behalf. On the other hand, our city doesn't have any other bonus resources. The question is, does Hyde have something like this in the water or so? Because that would make a lot of a difference. If he doesn't, he really is. His city tile has 2 productions as well, which is important to note. It means that he will have at least 4 minerals from the city alone. 6 actually, because of the building. So yeah, since at the beginning we cannot just put everything on production, we need miners and workers for this, and then our science falls behind. So that's why I said it will take some time before it actually kicks in that we have a more mineral rich starting location. I will say at around size 10 of the city, which will now take a little longer. You don't grow as quickly later on as you do in the start. So our next technology will of course be colony ship dismantling, since this is what we planned from the get-go. and Hyde will most likely already have it because he or not necessarily have it, but it's likely that he has it because he has the 50% more research observatory. So the city looks really valuable for us because it provides what we don't have here. This city is not a good spot for doing science, but this one is. So we really want to conquer the city. And we can see that here is another Maxalon field in the water, just like this one. And we cannot see what is there, but we don't have to, I think. So our starting location really is good and is I don't know the word that I wanted to say. Promising. Yes, it is promising. If we can capture Hyde with relatively little losses, and we should be able to. I mean, his starting location is just bad enough for this to make it happen. But we have to keep him a look at him. If he is on a higher difficulty, which it seems. I have lost one turn by moving down, and he already has size 4 in his city, and I still have 3 turns left. If it was only 1 turn left, it would mean he would be on the same difficulty level. It's hard to calculate if he is hard or very hard. I would even assume that he might be very hard. So taking him down will not be easy despite his bad starting location. If this was even odds, medium difficulty, Hyde, I would say there's no chance he would win against us, or we would lose, but we'd probably still be able to win on even very high difficulty, but it might be much harder and we might suffer some losses. And here we have a ruin. These usually are spread around the map and grant you a bonus once you enter them. We still haven't researched the next technology, right? The aliens are now blocking our way, so we have to go through the forest, and it will take 1 turn longer. If we could have gone over the hill, we would already have it.
We could imagine nothing pleasanter.
Yeah.
And all around.
So we got one xenomorph drone, which we can use for scouting and later on defending our city. But as I said, there currently is no need to defend our city. Okay, this continent isn't much bigger, and I cannot pass by this hive. As you can see, this hive is full with aliens. One of them is a queen, and the queen has a bonus when inside a hive. So we cannot, but it doesn't look like there's much to explore. Anyways, there's only a little bit more to explore down here, and we can return to our city before the alien aggression starts. It will start later for us, and it looks like neither I nor Hyde are close to an hive. This seems to be the closest hive. On archipel maps, it's very different to Pangaea maps. On Pangaea, the aliens are such a nuisance. On archipel, not really, because there's very little room for their hives, and you cannot be completely surrounded by hives because you have mostly water. But there also is an invasion from the sea at around turn 100, but it's still a lot of time till then. So my colony ship dismantling is ready, but I will finish up the constructor I'm constructing right now. I don't know how early or late I should try to kill Hyde. A thing that might be really useful for my faction is the industrial factory, the automated factory, because it allows you to you cannot increase your production actually, because your production is limited by your mineral income, but you can get more minerals processed by less workers, which gives you more workers to get minerals, which gives you more production anyways, or more science. And most of the time this is not as useful as a technology. If you do not have a lot of minerals, you don't really need this that much, but in our case it might be quite useful. It will take 8 turns, which is a little lengthy. I want to get a technology which I can already build in the meantime. I think the mineral refinery might be useful for this. Certainly more useful than the farming thing, because we can use one population to farm for everyone for quite a long time. And Hyde doesn't really like us. He denounces us and I reject again. He is polite towards us, but he has massive troop formations and the non-aggression pact could already be ended. We have to be careful actually. Because we started with something risky like a former. But we will pull our troops to the city now. It's a little bit frightening that he is so close to the city while the non-aggression pact could be cancelled. It's not certain that he will declare war right now. I mean, he couldn't reach the city in one turn, and in one turn our units are back. So we should be able to survive even if he did. But he doesn't, which is good. So the former will build a mine and the colonial trooper will stay in the city. And now we have this icon here. We are allowed to end the turn, but we should take care about the situation. We are out of food. It hasn't affected this turn, but this shows that we would run out of food next turn. So this red 6 means our city would shrink instead of growing. So we have to make sure there's enough food. Having more food than you need does nothing with for your growth. Growth is entirely dependent on how many population you have, with the one exclusion of building growth as an industrial project. As you can see, we now have +3 food per turn, which will just go to our stockpile and can be used later. We could also micromanage every turn and switch this guy back and forth, but since we need the food sooner or later anyways, I will save me from doing this. So since I'm a little worried about Hyde probably becoming aggressive, I will get some technology to upgrade my early units. I will start with damage evasion, then I will go for this, which gives the training facility, which gives us 2 rank for our new units, which is quite significant. 2 ranks means about 20% more strength. Yeah, each rank is 10% more strength. And after that we also get the reinforced steel plates that we have discussed about earlier, and the infernal pre-igniter, which gives us a huge bonus against biological units. And all aliens are biological units and the basic troopers are as well. However, the tanks are relatively close and can be researched quite soon, so it might not be necessary to get the infernal pre-igniter, because tanks are just better anyways. They are not as cost efficient in defending cities, but they are more useful in general because they survive most fights and you don't have to retreat them after every one fight against an alien, for example. So I will get damage evasion, reinforced steel plate, and then the Rapturous Regiment. I will apply those 2 upgrades to my starting unit, which will cost some credits, but I have them. So next project to produce is the refining array. Right now we have very little population. So I'm using the miner. I'm not using the miner. It's not a huge mine, so we don't actually lose anything. We could get 2 minerals whenever we want, and this increases our production. And since we have gotten the 32 minerals from the colony ship dismantling, we can get along with this for quite some time. We also can get along without a farmer now because we have produced the colony ship dismantling. So I don't know if it was this turn that I noticed, but I mean I could use it to build a stock, but I think more technology is more important right now. So another thing that is hard to talk about as Terra Salvum is pollution. Our workers are producing some. Every one of these population produces pollution, but it uh, largely differs depending on what they do. The workers produce the most pollution, then the miners, then the farmers, and the scientists actually produce the least pollution. So you don't want to have pollution because it does the same as having too little living room. It reduces morale. But since Terra Salvum loves forests so much, and we have a lot of forests already, each forest provides -1 to pollution. So whenever we grab a forest, our pollution will be reduced, and we will hardly run into pollution problems as this faction. Other factions have it harder. We buy that advantage with the disadvantage of weaker units, of course, which I have also mentioned earlier. So we have an unit that is idle, and I want to scout out the last unscouted tile or so. Maybe it shows that there's more tiles, but I'm doubtful about this. And Tide is terminating the trading pact, which is not a nice move, but it's building up some tension here already. This city just reached size 6 before ours reached size 5. And I think we really might want to think about getting more units. This research, as we can see here, this wasn't shown before because we hadn't have any research. He has outstanding and highly advanced research. It's not a miracle because he has this observatory. And what we hope is that he doesn't get the tanks very soon. But we should get tanks as well, so we can defend against his tanks. It's also easy to attack him with tanks because we can place them on this plains field. I am harder to attack with tanks. He would have to go through the Garden of Eden, which he probably will if he has to attack, but I don't want to discuss the scenario of him attacking me because I hope I will be the one attacking him for not having a whole lot of minerals. Remember, this is not 2 minerals for him, only 1, and it's really inefficient to mine 1 mineral tile. And he is demanding tribute, which I reject. This makes him really angry very early on, but since I plan to go to war with him eventually anyways, there is no real point in trying to uphold good relations with him. But yeah, I'm having some credits saved up for eventually buying a new unit if he decides to attack very early on. And I don't want to lose this xenomorph drone. So no, this was not the armor, it was the device. I will put this on our unit immediately. This changes our military score, which he can see as well, low military or so, and everything counts into it. That makes the units more expensive. So and we also will benefit from the fighting power. I don't want him to declare war on me right now, because it would be a nuisance that early, because I'm not benefiting from my starting location so much this early, because I need to get some science done first before I can put all my population into producing stuff. But soon I will be able to outproduce him. A good thing is that as Terra Salvum, the problem is I didn't see any of the big aliens. There's big aliens with 8 power. They get aggressive a little later than the small aliens with 2 power. The small aliens easily are no problem for the computer to deal with, but the big aliens, they are a problem for everyone. If you are getting attacked by them, you have to be really careful. And this game will not really show what aggressive, very high alien aggression really is about, because we have so little aliens on this relatively small island. Okay, we have the steel armor now as well, which we will put on our unit to make it even stronger. Now it outmatches this unit, at least in defense, and we don't have to be afraid of it anymore. I mean, we wouldn't have really to be afraid of it anyways, but it's better to have a stronger unit. I'll do some more scouting. We soon, okay, if we had stayed here, we also wouldn't have this in reach. Okay, never mind. Okay, this is interesting. He planted a forest on this tile to fight pollution, which means he will have even less minerals. Maybe one of these is hills as well, but this looks like forest as well. I mean, we cannot say much about this location if we don't see all of it. Now, I still don't want to produce a unit. I also don't want a former, and I also don't want a colonizer. Let's go about why I don't want a colonizer. In order to no, let's start with something else. Population growth depends on your total population, right? And a colonizer will found another city, and this other city will also have its growth scale with the total population, which means you do not have more population growth with more cities. But you need more buildings to be as efficient. As you can see, this building provides 25% to minerals from miners. The other city, if I founded it, would require the same building as well to provide the same bonus. So I first have to build these buildings. And so as long as I can maintain my population with the habitat present in one city, there's no real urge to get another city unless I really need the resources. Like for example, Hyde, he doesn't have a whole lot of minerals, for example. So for him, it would make a lot of sense to colonize a spot that provides him with more minerals. Like for example, let's say over here, he would have this water tile in range. Not yet. So this wouldn't help him very much either, at least not early. So he would have to found here to immediately benefit from it. And this is probably a thing he's going to do. He will be aware of his mineral spareness and try to fix it somehow. But I will try to prevent him from fixing it by maybe killing off the second city first. It is usually not as well defended because it doesn't have this building that provides plus 50 defense bonus for the unit defending it. And also, unlike in Civilization, the city cannot fight at all. So if it is empty, it will simply be conquered once you step into it. So you always want to have at least one unit in your cities, so it cannot be simply conquered or destroyed by aliens. That is, aliens cannot conquer cities, but they can destroy them. So this button blinks, which means we have to produce something. I don't really need something right now. I can pre-build this field training, leave it in the queue to build it after something else, but I really want to get some more research done. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I can already put one worker to food because it will run out eventually. So let's end the turn. If I build this, I will not use it. I can show you how it would be used. Okay, this location isn't that bad. It's good for later when you can build stuff on the water. As you might know or not. You will know because I just told you. At some point in this tech tree, we cannot see the whole tech tree. It is designed in a way that it builds up whenever you research something. You will see 3 technologies in the future. So once I get this, I will also see what is behind those technologies. And another thing I haven't talked about is that this thing here is randomly generated. So the locations of where the texts are, the texts themselves are not randomly generated. You always have the same technologies, but they are in different assignments, but not completely. You couldn't have, for example, this technology in the first tier. It's not possible. It has to be at least at tier 4 or 5. I think it is 5 even. I think mostly they could swap around between 2 of the tiers, and those could swap around between those. And the connections are also random, so you have to think about how to best research in each game. Okay, I don't know how long these tutorial videos should be. I haven't gotten all that far, I would say, but it's quite should I say stressful? No, it's not stressful, but okay, let's do what you usually do in a 4x game, and you play just one more turn. Because now we have the training facility which we really want to have to build, which we really want to build. We will not kick this out of the queue, but we will place this in front of it, and now we will increase our production by quite a lot. And I can actually show you pollution now. Since I don't have founded here where I have more forests. Actually, I wouldn't have more forests there either. I have 2 forests and they fight 2 pollution, but I'm producing more than 2 pollution. So I would want to produce even quicker now because I really feel that I need some units. So I have 2 pollution now, and they provide me with 2 negative morale, and I really want to get rid of the negative morale. I don't want it, so I reduce the taxes. Now the morale is okay, and then the better way to get rid of the negative morale caused by pollution is by fighting the pollution itself. And we are already inactively doing it by having assigned our border to grow into the direction of this forest. So once this forest is taken, the pollution will go down a little bit. and I want to queue at least 2 units after the training facility, because I really feel that height might become a problem, and I really do not want to produce them before the training facility because they would be much weaker this way, and I think it's almost always worth it to spend that little bit extra more amount of time to get stronger units. Another thing that we could think about how to rush height would be with ships. But ships are later in the tech tree than tanks are. Ships would probably be able to flank the city. I don't know. No, I don't think this is water. I think this might be water and this is not. With a ship, so I could only attack from here, and this doesn't allow for a flank unless I also come with tanks at the same time. So ideally I would want to attack with ships and tanks, but I will first get the tanks and then the ships. But I also want to get some of the basic troopers, so he doesn't get any idea to kill me before I have the units I want to kill him with. So the next research project, I still want to get synthetic fertilizer before I get the tanks. Or do I? No, I don't. I feel a little urge to rush the tanks as soon as I can, because he might already be on the way to get his own tanks. And if he gets tanks, we also need the technology behind the tanks, which is a weapon for tanks that counters tanks. And if he has them and I don't, my tanks are completely useless, or next to useless compared to his. Unless I get the guided weapons, which is a hybrid weapon. And this weapon is specifically designed to use it against tanks. And this one is hybrid. It is good against tanks, but not terrible against foot troopers. The technology, the weapon we start with, is good against foot troopers, but not terrible against tanks. But not terrible is not good enough for us. We really want something that is awesome against tanks, which would be the Serenity Cannon, but it will take quite a lot of turns, and in research we cannot think about keeping up with Admiral Hyde because he has the observatory and more population. However, tell me if you like this better than videos where I just play and say what I do without explaining anything, and I will continue this in the next part. I really want to see how this game plays out. I'm always excited about it. I love this game, as you probably can tell. Yeah, I think I love this game more than I've ever loved another game. I mean, love in a non-sexual way, of course. But the faction leader of the faction I'm playing actually looks quite hot. But I cannot see it because I'm playing the faction myself. So, what other ending words could be better than this? Stupid bubbling around. No, wait. We still have units to order around. We cannot possibly end the video without ordering the remaining units. So I will build a farm in the Garden of Eden, and then I'm practically done with building stuff. I could build roads then, and I probably will. So this xenomorph drone has scouted out this location. I don't really want to go back over here. It is turn 25. I mean, I have some delay in when the aliens will attack, but I don't want to. Actually, the delay should be big enough to scout the edges of the continent. It's not really necessary to scout the edges, but it feels more complete when you do. So I will send the unit over here or here. Okay, now it might really be a good time to end this, and I will see you in the next one if you liked it, and goodbye.